Hey, welcome back to the What If Universe. I'm Drew here bringing something new. And for today, we are talking to the one and only DragonStar Productions. So, how are you doing, my dude?
Well, man, I'm here. I'm alive. I'm breathing. Pollen's got me a little messed up right now, but here and breathing. So, thumbs up for that.
Would you like to introduce yourself for people who may not know you at this point?
All right, sounds good to me. You guys, I'm DragonStar Productions, the best. What if? Okay, no, okay. Sorry, I'm not the best, but I do make what if content. Dragon Ball right now. I do plan on, you know, putting a little bit more content of other animes, other shows, and stuff like that in the future. But right now, mostly Dragon Ball. So if you guys like Dragon Ball, definitely a good show. Uh, Definitely a good channel to actually go over there and check out.
I mean, Dragon Ball is a good show as well, but definitely check out your channel. I guess that's the more important thing.
Well, I
That's
mean,
the
yeah,
story.
right. I mean, if you like Dragon Ball, then my channel's perfect for you.
Exactly. So, anyways, we're going to be talking about the What If community, how DragonStar makes what ifs and stuff, and we have a decent history, so we have a few good stories we'll talk about here and there, and we'll just go from there.
Right.
Like, we don't know each other personally. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
will say that
It's not
we've
like we
known
go to
each other for
Walmart
at
together.
least a year, basically.
Worked on a lot of different projects together, from Dragon Ball to Batman Beyond. So we've definitely had a good bit of branching out when it comes to working together.
So I guess to start things off, how was it like when you were first making what ifs?
Ah, man. How was it? I was nervous. I know you can tell if you go back and watch some of my beginning videos. I was nervous because at that point there wasn't too many people, I guess, really doing what ifs, or at least not too many people that have like blown up at that point. It was maybe the big ones. Obviously, Masako, Smokestick was still big. Salad Saying, I think, just hit it big. And watching them and stuff, seeing how good their storytelling and all was, I was really nervous about actually getting into it. So I just did it. I mean, that was the only thing I say. Then as time, my confidence grew and I got better and better. So it was just not being shy, cutting that leash off and just going for it.
Yeah, I get. Yeah,
I really don't know any other way to explain it. Like when I first started, that was my mindset. It's like as soon as I get good, as soon as I get my flow down, the way that I feel, the way that I tell a story, it'll make sense. But that only works for me.
yeah, I get you. What do you think about YouTubers who out with your phone? Because I know you're one of the few that I actually liked when I was checking out your content who edits using their phone, at
Yeah, I
least
don't.
at the time.
I definitely don't see a problem with people that edit with their phones. I actually know another YouTuber. I talked to him a good bit. Damon What Ifs. Don't know if you know that, but he edits with his phone as well. And
Really? I actually didn't
yes,
know that.
yes, he edits with his phone as well. And I know Lytro Storm does, Goheezy does. They might not as much now. I don't know. I don't talk to him as much as I used to. However, I definitely don't think it has an issue. It's really of how you portray it, and as long as you have the right equipment with your phone, it's all going to be fine. It's the same way if you have it in a computer. I mean, our phones are just mini computers. So some people prefer actually having it in their pocket. For me, it's actually easier because even on the go, I can bust out and edit to where, I have issues with I try to edit on my computer because I can't do that as much as I can if I have it in my pocket. So in a way, it's easier. However, I do believe editing on a computer, you do have more equipment, more styles, and more things that you can actually use to portray a video better. However, I think as long as you get your story across and you know you're doing your best job, then that's all you can do. So I don't think a phone holds you back, but I think a computer can necessarily help you a lot more in the long run. If that
Yeah.
if that answers the question.
No, I agree. That's how I've always been. I've been one of those types that used to be like completely anti-phone because I was one of those people who started out editing with PC. But now that I think about
Right.
it, it's not that big of a deal as long as your audio is fine. That's what I'm more noticing. It's like
Well,
they're
right. And a cool thing about one of the apps that I have, like the app that I edit with, is called Power Director. It's also available on my computer and stuff like that. So all I have to do is sign into my account on Power Director. And what I've worked on the phone is on the computer. And that's why I've even noticed on the computer, I have more editing. Such as like when I want to add a character in, I can do more effects to him adding in than just, let's say, just fading him into it. I can do a extra transition, having them fade in with lightning and all this stuff at more than one time. On the phone, you're a little bit, limited of how much you can do because you can only have so much space to where a computer, it literally adds on like 150 extra lines of editing, which is a crazy amount of more space to actually have. But the same app. So there is apps that you can actually do both.
hey, this is post production and Drew here, and there's a few missing parts. So to fill in the parts, I'm basically going to just talk about what kinda was missing in certain sections. So for this section, we were talking about editing with different apps and stuff. It was kind of a more boring section, so I guess that was kind of good that it got disappeared. But the other issue is that right here we talk about Batman Beyond Season 4, which was a project that we talked about, I believe, last year. We have some aspects done of it, so anyways, that's where we're going to pick up the conversation here, so here y'all go.
Then they can expect to see Season 4 in the summer. However, if not, then it might be pushed a little back so that way our story, at least when it does come out, is at least as pitch perfect as it can possibly be. That way there's no flaws in it, That way the people that are watching it, that are enjoying it, they're getting the most best story that we can possibly give them as content creators. Even if it's not going to get, 20,000 more views than what, we want it to. At least we know the people that are watching it is going to love it. It's going to be great content. And at the end of the day, that's what's really the fun of this, is making good content that you enjoy doing.
Yeah, for real. I will say that for people who are curious about the Batman Beyond What If, it's still going. It's just that with stuff that happens with life and whatnot, writing gets delayed, obviously. That's just typically how content creation goes.
I've actually had a good bit of people comment on my channel, like, where's What If the Joker killed Terry, and on my channel and stuff like that. And I'm like, man, I haven't had this on my channel in a long time. But that shows you how much a story can actually impact somebody and how much they want to see it. They're still commenting on my channel, even though it's now on your channel.
Well, I think what makes that What If interesting is that about, I believe 80 to 70% of that was written by me, and you wrote most of the fight scenes, all the fight scenes, not most of it. You wrote that whole section,
right?
And that was like, I think that's what makes that What If more interesting to me, because that's when you kind of see how our writing styles blended, basically. Because I had you pick up from the fight scenes, and I basically helped with the world building aspect with that What If.
It was. I think we did a really well job, and like I said, it shows. It definitely shows. And so I think for sure, at least on that one, we should definitely do What If the Joker killed Terry Part 2 here soon. Put it on your channel, and I think that'll at least be, maybe we can kind of use that as a semi-pilot for the Season 4 of Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I believe that for people curious how far that What If will go, we only planned 3 parts, honestly. It's not going to go any further than that. Because that was the realistic amount that we could go, because due to how far in the future Batman Beyond is, like, sure, we could just allegedly just bring in a ton of, like, Justice League people within that time and just straight up end it, but that's not how DC
make
is.
Up a brand new story and all that stuff, but that's a...
Well, the thing is, that's not how DC is. It's more, this is more like a Batman-focused story, not necessarily like, well, we need to end it, so let's bring in, like, Martian Manhunter or somebody who can do it.
And so I definitely think the people who want to see it should expect to see it. But if they want to see it, they definitely got to push to see it. You know, you can't just be like, "Oh, I want to see it," and just comment on there one time. You know, if you want it, be adamant about it. Let us know, because if you don't, then we're gonna expect that our other content's gonna be what you want to see, because that's what's getting the views. You know.
Yeah, I think people unfortunately don't get that if a video that they like doesn't get a sequel and they just blame like a content creator just doing it for money. I don't think it's that. In my opinion, it's more a fact that if there's not enough interest that the audience wants, then it's hard for me to take my time out of the day and also talk to DragonStar to do collabs like that. That's the big issue that my channel has compared to other people's. That while I do enjoy it a lot more because I focus primarily on doing collabs, the contrast to that is that if other people don't feel like it or other parts don't do as well, then it's hard for me to be like, hey, let's go do it, you know?
Absolutely, that makes perfect sense, and that's not even just the case for collabs. That could be the case for your own videos.
Well,
After
yeah,
so
because you have a
long,
job and
videos.
other things that
Well, I mean,
people do.
videos just start to die down. They don't. For example, I have a lot of people commenting on my channel right now about what if Piccolo was the main character. However, I don't know how long ago I made a poll, because that video wasn't doing well. I made a poll of 4 different what ifs of which one I should continue, and if they didn't get voted on, then I wasn't going to continue them. Well, what if Piccolo was the main character was one of them. However, now people are commenting on there, well, what if Piccolo was the main character part 2? You said you'd make it if it got this many likes. Da-da-da. Well, it took it a year to get that many likes.
Yeah, I think
So
that's
it's
one
like,
issue that I see with like goals because some commenters are saying like goals are a stupid metric, and I kind of agree. The more I think about it, I think that view goals are far better, which is what I'm trying to move towards. But
mhm.
even I'm not 100% sure because I can't predict how well or how fast something will get the views, you know? Same thing with likes.
Well, I guess in a way, a like goal or a view goal is just more of a way to get interaction out of you guys. I guess what really should be, like, what really should make a push towards is like a comment goal. Like, can I get 50 comments, or 100 comments down below? You know,
That
that would
would
be
be
something
something to
cool,
try out in the future.
because in a way that would help out your algorithm more than necessarily a view would be a comment. Because it's a view and a comment. And while they're at it, might as well give it a like, because if you're commenting, you like it or you dislike it. So either way, you're helping out. you know.
Yeah,
So
I agree with
maybe
that.
that's what we should do. Comment goals,
Yeah, I think I might do a community tab post to see what people think about that.
right? In a way, I think it's cool, and then it's an easy way to get interaction with your fans. Because I know I try to reply back to as many comments as possible. So if you want to get to know me, that's a good way to start.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's something to think about for sure because it's very hard to see if likes do anything besides interaction. But I feel like comments are more useful at the end of the day, depending on what someone says.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Like I know I was talking to T-Bry back in the day before YouTube eventually got rid of the like button for some people. Well,
Mm-hmm.
dislike button for people. I told him that if YouTube made it so that if you're on your phone or something else, and when you hit the like button or dislike button, it give you an option to comment beforehand, that would be very useful, in my opinion, as a feature.
Honestly, yeah, in a way, because I mean, it's feedback. Although, so I feel like some people would take advantage of that fact. You know,
Well, people can say mean things all the time. It's the internet. It's like someone could hit the dislike button and just call you a slur or something, but that's just how it is,
you know,
unfortunately.
As I say, it happens. It happens. But it's just a matter of how it's gonna work. How sensitive is YouTube gonna be? And well, that's really what it breaks down to.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's okay to say. I'm just saying that's unfortunately how
Oh,
the
no, no, no.
culture
I
is.
I agree. I agree. I understand that you got those people in every genre. It doesn't matter Dragon Ball. It doesn't matter if it's you know about history of 1776 and the independence of the United States. It doesn't matter. You're always gonna have those people in the group that are haters that think they know it all, or think that they know better, or think that they can tell better, or whatever. You know, Nothing you can do about it.
So something I wanted to talk to you about is like, what's your thoughts on fan fiction? Because I know different What If creators have different opinions based on that.
Such as like what, like fan fictions, as in like.
Like, I would say, for example, with our Batman Beyond project, that's not necessarily a what if. It's more of our interpretation of how we think a season 4 would go.
So
So
you
it's
so basically as like a continuation of something, but like its own story that somebody else created in a world like.
yeah, because I feel
Okay.
like that's more the lines of fan fiction before you get into like the weird stuff. Like it's
Okay.
hard to explain that angle
I
without
mean,
getting too
honestly,
much.
I have absolutely no issue with it. I tend to not do it on my channel just for the reasoning that it is a little stretched out and people think that. However, I think if done right, the storytelling can be very done well. Like that. That's really what it comes down to. If the story is good, you know, it's okay. However, if you have something that goes in and it makes absolutely no sense, like Monster Carrot came in and became a Super Saiyan 4 and it just doesn't make sense, it's not going to work. And that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I kind of get it.
You know? So with me, I feel like fan fiction isn't a problem. However, I do feel like there is so much fan fiction out there in a way. Some of it gets blinded by either fan fiction that it's a little bit too gory, or fan fiction that's a little bit too sobby and crybaby-ish, or fan fiction that's a little bit too, bedtime sparring-ish. There's just some things
Well, the thing is,
that push
like,
it over the edge, but it just depends on what you like. So in a way, fan fiction is just a branch of the story, a continuation of the story that we all love. So I don't see the issue in it.
yeah, I don't know. I think with some of the stuff that we do for our Widows, we purposely kind of play it up a lot for sure. At least
Oh
I'm
yeah.
noticing that more of myself, that I'm definitely playing up the scenarios more to make fun of the concept to a degree of how dumb it is sometimes.
And sometimes that's what's funny and that's what works. So that's perfectly okay. It just depends on what it is. So, you know, if that means playing on the fact that it's more fan fictiony, you play on the fact that it's more fan fictiony. I mean, I know in our What If Chi-Chi died birthing Gohan, just in the title it alone, fan fictiony. You know that What If in general is like that,
Well,
and
to
we
give
took the
some
humor
context
and used
behind,
it.
to give some context behind for people, we were considering taking it more seriously, but then I thought the title's too absurd for us to even do that. So let's purposely make it more funny and have somebody else do a more serious take on it.
Right. So we basically wanted to do the idea of flipping it on its head, to be like, okay, you think it's going to be a sad what if, but in all reality, it's uplifting, it's good, and Gohan's still getting to be what he wants to be, but also what everybody else wants him to be. And Radish is there, and Popo. It's just a
Well,
great
that's
all
the
around
idea.
story.
Just really introduces characters to become more absurd, basically.
Right.
And I think that's the fun thing I like about it.
However, I do feel like some people take it overboard, and they have stories that are a little bit too much and overboard, where you're like, whoa, what am I watching? Not gonna name channels or nothing like that, but I know we all know a couple that cover those, so
I I agree with that.
we'll leave those unsaid. If
Yeah,
if if
I'll
you
probably have
know,
Anime Sage or someone talk about that because we typically talk about
no, yeah,
these weird channels that just
oh
pop
yeah,
up that do
right,
this. It's just
exactly.
sad.
So like, if you know them, you know them. There's no point in calling them out. There's no reason for that, but they're there. Let them be. Do your thing.
My thing is, I feel like if they break YouTube's terms of service, they'll eventually be taken out. That's just is what it is.
Exactly, and that's all on them. As long as you're doing the right thing, you're all good.
Yeah, and I feel like that we're fine for the most part. I do think that me and Sage have gone a bit edgier, but those were more for like rapid fire what ifs. They weren't meant to be taken seriously, anyways.
Oh yeah, rapid fire what ifs are they were 95% of the time they were made into a joke.
That is the point, though, with that series, because
Like it's rapid fire, you just got to go whatever comes up to your head, and sometimes what comes up to your head's a little dirty, and
yeah,
sometimes what comes up to your head's a little, like what the hell, that's just the way it is. You
yeah,
know,
I think the idea of rapid fire what ifs was pretty fun for the summer. It gave people something different from what everything else being released at the
it got a
time.
lot, and it got a lot of content creators working together on projects.
Well, the idea is that Manga Adventures, he told me like he kind of liked it because what it did is it showed what a content creator could do in a minute just on the top of their head. And
Well,
if
in a
they would
way,
either
I think.
continue the story or they could just make up a joke and try to play it off for that whole minute.
All right, exactly. So it kind of works. But in a way, if you have 4 serious content creators go in there, it's possible you could get a bomb story. You never know. Like we never sat down and actually had a serious enough conversation, I felt like, to have a serious rapid fire what if.
I feel like that can happen. Maybe for this year, we might see if that could be possible. But I do think that the potential is still there with that series for sure.
Right. Maybe it'd be good on like a live stream type of thing.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, me and DragonStar have talked about that. So if that happens in the future, that's probably why.
Right. We have discussed it. And now we are discussing it here, so odds are it will probably happen.
It'll probably happen in the summer though, when I'm less busy. Because honestly, I've been editing for other people, trying to basically get this computer fixed. That's one big thing. Just a bunch of other expenses that come with being a content creator.
Oh yeah, trust me, I know.
Speaking of making money and stuff, what do you think of Patreon for as a content creator starting out with it? Because I've tried to use it in the past, and I think it's okay. It's
Well,
just depends what you offer, I guess.
I just started a Patreon. If you guys are interested, I'm sure Drew can leave a link somewhere down in his description for it. If you guys want to. But
You
I
know what?
have
Just for you, I'll put a pinned comment for your Patreon. Why not? I'll do it for you.
Drew, that's why me and you were friends. But anyway, I feel like in a way it is a good way, because for one, you are getting to see content early, you are getting special stuff, and I have on mine, I on different tiers, I have special stuff that I'm sending out to you. Like I didn't want to just make tiers, be like, oh, you can get videos, or oh, you can get shout outs and videos. No, the merchandise option in Patreon, I decided to go that route, and I'm gonna have like DragonStar T-shirts and DragonStar mugs and stuff like that. What if Shallot was canon mugs and what if Shallot was canon T-shirts and stuff like that. Making those to where if you sign up and you pay for 3 months, you'll be able to get those things. You know, and I just feel like that's one way that I can give back, and I'm not having to put fully all my money into it. And all you guys got to do is, you know, join. And if you guys don't, then you guys don't. I mean, it's not hurting me to have it on there because I'm not losing any money. And you guys aren't really losing any money either because you're getting what you pay for in return. However, I do feel like some Patreons, I do kind of feel like they can take advantage of your fans and take advantage of the audience and stuff like that. So in a way, it depends on if you want to be a good guy or a bad guy with it. Me, I want to be the best guy that I can. I'm using it as a tool not to just help me, but also to help my audience. Because who wouldn't want to walk around with, oh God. But who wouldn't want to walk around with me punching King Piccolo in the face on a t-shirt? Maybe a lot of people, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I know I had a Patreon at some point. I don't know if it's public anymore, but all I got on it was like $1 tier. I just don't really want to put anything out there at the moment that it's not worth it, you know?
Well, like I said, all I'm doing right now is just putting basic videos out there. My normal YouTube what ifs, they're going on there early. And I'll also do as I get more people on there, I'll do special podcasts on there and stuff like that to where they can actually join in face calls if they want, or just audio. And then they can actually get to talk to me, get to know me, ask me questions, like their own questions, like face to face. In a way, I feel like that's really cool and a really good way for them to get to know me. So I do. Patreon has a lot of features that YouTube doesn't have. So in a way, it's kind of like how YouTube has their super chat rule and how they have their tips now, to where you can tip somebody or pay them however much for the video or whatnot. How they
Well,
have that.
YouTube does have their membership thing. The
Well, yeah,
YouTube
that's
membership.
what I was getting at. The YouTube membership. It's kind of very similar to Patreon, except I feel like Patreon's a little bit more refined, is a little bit more resolved than YouTube as of right now. And that's the key word. That's as of right now. Give it probably in the summer, YouTube's probably going to have a whole new different thing when it comes to their memberships. Because
Yeah.
I've tried to set up the YouTube membership and I tried to set up a Patreon, and I personally prefer Patreon. That's just me.
Yeah, for sure.
And then also, I know a couple other YouTubers like Damon. He uses Patreon, and I know it does very well for his channel as well. Because we've
That's
talked
kind of
about
cool.
it. I've talked to him about it, and that's actually one of the reasons why I've actually decided to start up a Patreon.
Yeah, I think I'll eventually go the other route and promote my YouTube membership stuff, because I kind of like having my stuff in all one place. It's kind of hard for me to manage multiple things at once sometimes, you know?
Oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Like I said, I understand that too. Like I understand the conveniences in both.
Like, I get that YouTube will be taking a bigger cut for sure, but I feel like in return, it's not really for me. It's rather to make sure that I know where my audience is primarily, since this is what I use. Because
Right. It'll definitely be
Patreon's
easy.
not really a platform; it's more of like a donation hub. Which
Exactly. It
that's the
is.
thing I don't like
Which
about it.
which in a way, YouTube, it is what you're saying is it's right. It's right there. It's convenient. You don't have to click off of it. All you have to do is click on, oh, I can be a paid member. And as long as you have a YouTube account and a credit card, you can do that. It's that easy. To our
Yeah,
Patreon, you have to do that same thing and make a Patreon account. And then, like how you said, you're just going on there for what? To watch me. Or, I mean, maybe if you have other Patreon to watch other people, I get that. But it's like how you said, it's a donation platform more than more than a
like I kind of wish Patreon did go above and beyond, because that's kind of what OnlyFans does. The problem is OnlyFans isn't the right demographic for the content we make, obviously.
I mean, right. Exactly. Like I said, one of the biggest reasons why I'm using it is for the fact that I can get the merch off of it, and I can give back to my audience by giving them merch that nobody else has, that's, strictly made on my channel, original art for my channel. I just think that's really cool.
I think, I believe I talked to Carter some about this, but I believe if you hit 10K, they allow you to put a Teespring store basically on your channel. So I'm hoping that I can get 10K by the end of the year. That's basically my end goal.
That would be awesome, Drew. I hope you get 10K, and me as well.
I'm kind of hoping you eventually surpass me here, because I know Sal recently quit, and he was the closest person I was competing against till he quit. So I feel like I'll catch up pretty quickly here.
Oh man, speaking of that, I can't believe that, man.
Yeah, I can't believe that him and me recorded an interview, and he was definitely wanting to do stuff at the time.
Right?
How long ago was it? This is only February. It's like he was still down to do stuff, but eventually he just reached a point. It's like, I'm just not into it anymore. It's like,
Well, you never know. I mean, you can't. you can't ever hold it against nobody. I mean, in a way.
Well, I'm not holding it against them.
No,
I'm
no, no, no.
just
I don't
kind
mean
of
like
sad.
that. But I mean, just in general, like the rest of the audience. Like, I hope nobody's holding it against them for being like, oh man, I wasn't in it. I don't. And in a way, you don't want to give out content that you're not in because you're not. It's not going to be your best, and you're not going to enjoy it. So what's the point in making yourself miserable over the fact that it's something that you don't want to do? At the end of the day, if you don't want to do it, don't do it. And I personally respect him. And then going out, I mean, it's not like he's shutting everybody out either. He's still on Twitter and stuff like that. I mean, he's not shutting nobody out. He's doing it the most respectable way that he possibly could, and I respect him a whole lot more for it.
Yeah, I think the way that he quit is the most respectable way he could have done it, in my opinion.
Because it's like he didn't quit, he retired.
Yeah.
He didn't quit, he retired.
Like, even though he kind of gave that verbiage, I do feel like that if his channel ever popped off one day, which it could, he has a ton of videos that one day one of them could just shoot up in the algorithm one day. The thing is when they'll happen, obviously.
Right, you never know. You could wake up and be a gazillion million billionaire.
Like, I have a good example for this. So when me and Siren did our What If Erwin became the Colossal Titan instead of Armin, the idea behind it was that I wasn't really sure how well that was going to do because I did the original What If before. It only got like maybe 3K, a bit less than that. Mm-hmm. When we did it again, when I had him help and we redid it as a collab, it hit like 17K like over time, and it's one of my best performing videos. It's like, dang, I wasn't expecting that at all.
Right, but like, so that's what I'm saying. You never know.
And now we're just trying to scramble to get together while he's out basically vacationing a bit, going abroad, and we're trying to sort out a time to write this and whatnot, which hopefully this week or next week we can do it, because it's just been a bit hectic for me with IRL stuff, but I'm not going to get into that.
Hey man, I feel you. My past couple of months for me has been real hectic, so I understand.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that I know you and me have been watching Invincible lately. I guess we can talk a little bit about that. I think that has a lot of potential if people start doing what ifs with that.
By people, you mean me, because I already have some in the works.
Well, you know that I also have something that I'm going to be doing.
Oh, really? Competition. Yeah. Uh-huh.
We can talk about it later. I'm not going to spoil my audience here, but it's going to be
I'm not going to say my what ifs or nothing either, but I mean, I will say one just because I posted on my Discord. I was thinking about doing like what if Invincible was in Dragon Ball. So in a way that would be like what if, Viltrum was in Dragon Ball, more or less, because all the Viltrumites and all that stuff would obviously have to be there. But that's going to be a crazy story because there's going to be a lot going on. So it may be a minute. Or at least part one might not take a minute, but like having part 2 and part 3, the story is going to be expanding big time. Because there's a lot of other people in space when it comes to Dragon Ball that are pretty strong. Not just, Viltrums. So.
Well, the thing is, Invincible also has the same thing with it as well, because I believe you're importing the comics. I know Part 2 did that as well.
Right.
He bought it as well, and he enjoyed it more in the show, which I understand because the show has adapted things a bit off, but for the most part, it's fine.
I am excited. I am very excited. I have them on the way, so it should be any minute now. And once I get those read, I will feel 100% confident doing the what ifs and doing the show justice as well. Until then, I feel like I can take what I know now and do it in Dragon Ball because I feel like it'll work. Because in a way, you have to take the basics of a story and put it in one story and then blend the two to actually make it play out.
Yeah. To kind of describe the what if process, like with something like this, you kind of have a good base with season one. Like you have an idea of how the story still could play out in the
Right,
world of Dragon
exactly.
Ball, and it still makes sense to a degree.
Right. To where if I wanted to do just a plain out invincible, what if what if invincible, went with Omni Man, you know? In a way we could say that, but we don't know what would happen because we don't know how the Viltrums conquer planets and all that stuff, We don't know how the Viltrumites do that. So
That's why
we,
that's why we
right,
say it's important to know the source material because
right.
we
So in a
technically
way,
could know, but the problem is you have to have that knowledge before you just make up something.
right, in a way, like I gotta read. Like I said, that's the part of reading the actual, manga of it, actually reading the comics. Because I wouldn't be able to do that by watching just season one. I would be making a complete fan fiction.
Because I know I made that mistake when I was first doing my MHA what ifs because I didn't know who Miria was because I wasn't reading the manga at the time. So it caused big issues when I reached that point. It's like, oh, yeah, I need to do something about this.
Oops, my bad.
That's basically what it was.
But yeah, like I said, I get it. I get it. So once I get the manga read, the comics read, then you can definitely guarantee invincible what ifs on the channel. I
Oh yeah.
liked it. I enjoyed it way too much watching it to not do videos on it. Like
I
I
think what
enjoyed
was
it.
interesting is that episode one, you're like, yeah, it's okay, it's 7 out of 10. And you watch the rest of it, and it's like, dang, that's a lot better than I expected.
Well, I in a way I feel like Invincible. It had everything that as a kid growing up, what I wanted in a show, like a kid's show, it was it. But then it was like what I wanted in a a superhero show as an adult. It had it in there as well. So like, for example, I felt like a high school. It reminded me so much of Batman Beyond. Like, oh my god, it reminded me so much of Batman Beyond. Like just the aspect of being a teenager, becoming into the role of becoming a superhero. However, it was like a completely different aspect because we knew his father, was a bad guy. So in a way, that was a complete turn on itself. And then the fact that he was so strong in a way, having that intergalactic what's his name, Beast. I can't remember his name.
The orange dude, I think.
Yes, yes, yes. You know who I'm talking about. But when they come in, I don't know. It was great. Robot. Oh my god, Robot was amazing. It was just there was so much stuff going on. Like I don't know how you could not love it. Like the only way that you couldn't love it is if you couldn't follow it, and the only way you couldn't follow it is if you didn't watch it. And if you were watching the same thing as everybody else, then you wouldn't be able to look away. So
Oh, apparently the guy's name's Alan. That's what his actual
Alan.
name is. Yes.
Oh yeah, I like Alan. I loved Alan. I felt like he was a funny relief character, and it was great. It was great.
I like the first option underneath images. It says Seth Rogen is the person who voiced it.
Yeah, he was the Seth Rogen was one of the executive producers of Invincible.
Yeah, I thought he portrayed his character really well.
I mean, yeah, me too, man. I was shocked. I'm not even gonna lie. I was looking at it and I was like the first time watching it because I wasn't really paying attention. I wasn't listening for his voice or nothing. And I seen it and I was like, what? Seth Rogen? That's the only thing that was going through my head was the Seth Rogen laugh. I was like, he needs to do it. He needs to do it. He never did it.
I think he'll do in season 2 or 3, probably. If
I
there's
hope
an
so.
opportunity.
Even if it's just a little quick subtle laugh. I don't know. It'd be great. I'd love to see it as just a fan of Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen, if you're watching this, do the laugh.
I think that my main issues with it was how Amber was written, but they already said people told me it's kind of how it was in the comics as well, so I can kind of forgive it. That's what the source material was.
Well, I don't feel like Amber was completely as bad as what everybody made her. In a way, I kind of do understand her because she was stood up and she was lied to and stuff like that. So I mean, in a way, I do get it. I feel like we just look at Mark as like, oh, he's a good guy, he's doing good things, and
That's a
but in
good
a way,
point because the
but in a
story
way, she.
perspective is from him
But you got
for
to
the
look
most
at
part.
it. You have to. Oh my bad.
You're
You
fine.
have to look. You have to look at it as on the line of like, as what I was talking to at the beginning, that it is a high school thing. At the end of the day, they're in a relationship. He's a human, half human at least, and she's a human. They have human relations. They've grown up. They know how things work, and you can't sit there and lie to somebody and expect things to be all fine and dandy. Even if that does mean that, oh, you're a big superhero, you can't lie to somebody and think it's going to be okay. It's like if you try to hide something from your girlfriend now, it's going to be an issue. So I mean, I get it from her perspective. I get it. From his perspective, I get it. I don't think you can call her a bad person.
Yeah.
She still loved for him and cared for him and all that stuff. I feel like in a way it was kind of tough love. She wanted to teach him. She kind of wanted to teach him, you can't do this to people or they will leave. They will walk out. You can't hurt other people because you want to save one person, you're hurting others. So it was kind of
for sure.
It was kind of like a balance of being, a hero and a human. And she showed that aspect of it very well compared to like William, his friend, didn't. He was just more there to be Mark's friend, to where Amber was there to kind of portray that aspect of, I'm a human with feelings. You're a human with feelings. Let's talk about this. I like that personally. And I don't think anybody's kind of said that approach when it came to the show and Amber's character.
Oh, yeah. I think that was just one light thing about it. That wasn't as big a deal to me. The other thing that I find more questionable is how Robot is the character. Because it's just weird,
Oh no, I loved Robot as a character. What are you talking about? Don't get me wrong, he was weird. It was really weird. And how he has a thing for Monster Girl, really weird. Really weird.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's the thing that kind of made me question. It's like, is he really a good guy? It's like,
well, the entire show, I thought he was doing something to like plot against the Guardians of the Globe too. So I was like, oh man, really? So it was like Omni-Man and Robot. That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking that not Omni-Man. I was thinking that Robot had his own goals in mind,
right?
And that Omni-Man was just acting on his own behalf. We didn't know until the end, basically.
Well, I figured Omni-Man from the beginning what it was, his original planet. I figured that. Didn't expect it to go the way it went. No spoilers, didn't expect it to go the way it went.
My thing was, I felt it was going to be a story more related to the government, and I thought the Omni-Man could have been part of the Guardians of the Globe at some point, but he was betrayed by them. That's what made him basically go on a revenge plot, basically. But it didn't turn out to be that.
Right.
I felt like there was motive, considering how well Cecil knew the family. I felt like there had to be something there, but it wasn't.
Right. There was a lot of different aspects. They did a very good job of making you think of what it was. Like I said, it was a very well show, very well written, and I think the comics are going to be even better. I think Carthy's, what he said about it is going to be 100% right, because there's so much more material. You don't take anything out, everything's there. So really excited.
Well, I think he said like there were things that were adjusted. Like, for example, with Amber, she was actually white in the comics, and in the show she's black. So
oh really?
Yeah, I think that was interesting that I learned from him. It's like, oh, she wasn't actually that. But it's not a bad thing. I don't see an issue changing a character's race in that aspect.
No, not at all. It's not an issue by no means. I personally think it was cool.
The kind of thing is like, there's always times where you change a character different from the original source material. It happens a lot with Batman, many other comic properties. So I don't see an issue why it happened here, honestly.
Right, and I felt like Invincible took a lot from like the Justice League, Batman stuff, comics like that.
Well, the publisher is Image Comics, I believe. I believe they published Invincible. And they're like an indie
Yes.
studio, so they created Spawn. That's one of their bigger ones, I think, that they did.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think you should check out Spawn in the meantime while we're waiting for Invincible, because I don't think you've seen it yet. They
I
did
have
a
not.
TV show.
Yeah, I have not.
I think that'd be worth your time. I don't know where to find it though. It's not like a Marvel show. Usually I know off the top
I
of my
could
head. Oh, Disney Plus has it or something.
I could find it.
Yeah, I believe in you. I'm sure you can look it up on Google or something. Knowing the internet, there's so many resources that help you find things like that.
Well, I'm a ninja, so
Yeah, I believe you.
no, for real. There's a certain website called I'm a Ninja, and yep.
All right.
All right, what other
Anyway,
questions you got, Mr. Drew?
I was gonna ask, how do you feel when you have a what if that's ended, but the fans want it to come back? Like, how do you feel about that? Like leaving them hanging? Because kind of have issues myself when I do that. Because
Well,
when I was doing what if my version of what if Deku's trained by Stain, I released a new part. It didn't
mm-hmm.
do as well, so I kind of felt bad. It's like, well, people were wanting this, but then it just didn't do as well.
Oh yeah, trust me, I get that, and it's kind of a bummer, really, because it's like I thought you wanted this, and it's like why doesn't it do well? And in a way, it kind of disheartens you. It's like, well, maybe it's just my fault. Maybe my story wasn't good enough. You know, it didn't continue the way they wanted. I don't know. I've had that issue here lately, like with my what if Charlotte was canon. It's definitely devalued, in views and stuff as it's continued along. But in a way, I guess that could kind of be because it's on part 9.
That's what kind of happened with What If Goku stayed single. It basically kind of declined, and it took a while for it to catch up. And a big
However, I
issue
also
with
have.
that. Well, I do want to give a small thing with that one in particular. Sal was actually supposed to voice the next part of it, and we were playing it beforehand. So that's why I'm kind of been a bit hit when he quit. But I understand his reasoning though, so I don't have any shame. Someone else stepped up, and I told them what happened. They said they would do it, so that's why
Also,
that's been delayed for people who are wondering.
I wonder who it is.
I will say it's a much smaller creator. They've only done 2 what ifs, but they have helped. They're another person who helped Smugstick in the past.
Ooh. Well, that's good for them. Good publicity for them.
Oh yeah, I think they're only at 200 something subscribers, so I'm trying to help push them to like 1K here.
Oh, nice. Nice.
That's what I've been trying to do lately because I'm reaching a point where I don't want to go back to certain people because I don't want to repeat anything. But there are a few people that I kind of have to because I know with I believe it was your part and Dragon Ball Dad's the audio wasn't up to par what I want. So those are the only
Right.
2 parts I'm planning to redo. And mostly that's a technical difficulty on my end because I didn't know how to edit audio as well back then.
Oh. But yeah, I totally get it. I get it. And that's fine. If that's the case, if you whenever you want to re-record it, let me know and I can do it on my part. So
Well, the thing
no
with that
deal.
is more like it's not as urgent, obviously, because it's just a re-recording of a part.
Right.
I will say your part's a bit more difficult due to me messing up the power scaling, but that was basically my first Dragon Ball What If, so I think that's to be expected
Hey,
as
look,
someone.
power scaling is a mess anyway. If the ways that you could just got to do it, if you don't want to use numbers, is just put the people in a tier of saying they're strong or not. That way, people can't question you of how strong they are. Because it's like, in a way, you don't know, but it's a what if. So everybody's power level is going to initially be different than what it was in the canon story. And as long as you acknowledge that beforehand, it'll be put in place. Because if you notice,
Yeah, I get it.
I don't use power scaling too much. Unless it's like, for example, I'm using it against like Frieza's first form or something like that. Like, obviously, if Bardock's gonna charge at Frieza, he's got to be over that power. That's just because if not, it doesn't make sense.
I do agree with Smugstick, not Smugstick, Kartu, because we talked on the previous episode, and he said that when you do power scaling with using power levels and stuff, you can drop off by the android / Cell Saga. But he does recommend people who do what ifs to use them before that, basically.
Oh, right.
Which I kind of understand his
I
point of view on
agree.
that.
I agree. I feel like if you're going to use them, then you need to use them. However, if you don't know, that's what I'm getting at. If you don't know and you have to use, like, for example, like Raditz, for the Raditz saga, like Raditz is greater than Goku, who is greater than Piccolo. Something in that aspect you could work out too if you don't want to put exact numbers. However, I personally agree. I feel like in the Android saga, that's kind of where it falls off. But like, I feel like in the Frieza saga, it's a big point because you can't have Goku going Super Saiyan, but he didn't get the Zenkai that he got before, not being strong enough to actually defeat Frieza when he goes Super Saiyan. That's a big aspect and a big flaw that doesn't make much sense. Power levels were the big thing in Dragon Ball and early Dragon Ball Z. So, in a way,
Oh
I
yeah, for
agree.
sure.
However, numbers are very easy to fix too, you know? Because I've had similar issues like early on my What If shot was canned. Not necessarily that I did my math wrong or nothing, just when I was recording, end up missing and cutting out, audio to where I said something to where it ended up missing a extra power boost that Shallot got to where he wasn't as strong as what he was meant to be. So I ended up having to do a little, basically, what is it called? Going blank here, Drew. Going blank.
I don't know either. I'm trying to think as well.
Oh man.
And we'll just move on to something else.
Right. Anyway, I just had to get, I had to make sure I let people know that I made an error and fix it because, I did have him in the right headset, but my power scaling was wrong, and power scaling is a big point. So personally, I agree with what Carthy was saying. However, I feel like if you're not going to use the numbers, you definitely need to make sure you having a symbol of showing how strong everybody is, like on a scale perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I think one thing that I look at though is that when I do something like with MHA, for example, there is power scaling, but the issue is
Mm-hmm.
that you can go from someone like Bakugo to like an Airy in power scaling real fast if you put in the right person.
Yeah,
And that's
true.
what gets insane with MHA, in my opinion, because it jumps so high in power levels, well, power scaling at that point. Like, it's very odd, I guess. Because to me, someone with like Aries powers, even though she can't control them, she's kind of like a movie level type of villain esque. Not like Nine was in MHA's second movie, but more
Mm-hmm.
like maybe like a DBZ type of villain, I guess, around there. Like having some sort of insane power, but I guess again she kind of has like a MacGuffin. I think that's gonna be useful for something later on here. I bet.
More than likely, it probably will be. But yeah, that makes sense though. I mean, it doesn't make sense, but like, it makes sense what you're saying. You know?
Well, how MHA explains their power system is that as people basically have children, the kids get more powerful as time goes on. So
Mm-hmm.
it it's very questionable to me. It's like, how did she get that powerful? Like she had to be born relatively recently into whatever generation she exists in.
Right. Couldn't tell you. Not a big My Hero guy. So.
I know you're not, but I'm saying like you kind of
How,
understand
however,
like
I do
power
understand what
systems.
you are saying when it comes to their power system. How, the scaling of how she's just randomly that strong in there, and like how you're saying how you have to be at early. It does make sense, kind of like how Dragon Ball, like Saiyans, how Goten and Trunks have more potential and stuff like that. Kind of like how you think that she would be younger because she has so much potential and strength and all that stuff inside her. So
Well, it's more akin to how the Frieza's race works. So basically, each generation's far stronger than the next, typically.
okay, so I get that.
But the thing is, that's like everybody in that world. So it's like,
Right. So it starts to get more and more overpowered. It eventually have the same issue to where power scaling becomes not an issue.
like for example, I
I
feel like
bet you
you'll reach a point if there's a time skip or something, and you have these like next generation people far outclassing like Deku and everybody else. It's gonna lead to some cool fights for sure. But the thing
That's
is,
something.
like, it's hard for me to grasp my head around it because I've never seen something done this way, where you
Right.
have the next generation far stronger than everybody else theoretically.
It's pretty cool though. It's a good way to show evolution. Improvement and evolution.
Well, do you remember the Incredibles? Like,
Yes.
they had a similar system that was there. It's basically like whoever the parents are, the powers are based off of what they had, basically.
Right.
And I believe the Pixar theory or one of them explains Dash's and Violet's powers and why it makes sense to what their parents' powers were, basically. But I guess it kind of makes sense to a degree. It's just kind of hard to grasp my head around when shows do this, I guess. But speaking of power scaling, let's talk a bit about Invincible, actually, because let's go
Oh.
back there. I think
Okay.
Adam Eve's powers is insane. I'm very curious what type of weakness she has to have in order to warp reality like that.
I mean, yeah, I honestly want to see because compared to like her powers seem to be kind of compared to the other like team or the rest of the people that were in the Guardians of the Globe or whatever. I don't feel like any of them compared to her strength. Her powers like really like in a way not even Invincible did. Like she was warping time, warping, stopping it, freezing it. Like that's incredible feats in alone. Like I don't even know how you would rank it, but like, she's doing stuff that nobody else was doing in the entire series.
Yeah, I do feel like that as someone where both of us don't know how the story goes, I do think she's going to play some sort of major role here, whether it's
She's gonna
her being
she's
an
gonna have
alien or
to.
something else.
She's gonna have to in a way because I feel like Invincible is gonna need her, especially if they do end up coming into contact with Omni Man or one of the other people, like one of the other Viltrumites or something like that. She's gonna be a big help in the fight against the Viltrums. That's what
Yeah,
I
for
think.
sure.
The Viltrum army, I think, is going to be a big fight. It's going to be a colossal, universal fight for the galaxy, or for the world, or for planet Earth, or wherever they decide to have the fight. But that's what it's going to do. Or that's my guess.
I guess to close off this segment for the interview, I will say that for our collabs, I will say for What If Chi-Chi died bearing going, for so many people like that, here's where both of us are at. We have 2 parts ready, but after that, we're going to take a break, basically, because we're both kind of tired with it. That's
Exactly.
basically what happened.
Gave us a good bit of issues. We got some good art for it, some good thumbnails. Everything's going to be top notch when the videos come out. So you guys be ready for it. But when they do come out, expect a long break. And if they do continue, it'll probably just be another part to finish off Super, and that's just being honest.
Well, that and also we have GT because how we agreed to do it. We're splitting it into 2 different things, so we'll
Right.
probably
One of us will
cover.
do Super, and one of us will do GT.
And that's how we're gonna split it off. We'll still help write it, but we'll
Right.
do it separately on different channels. So when we have the full compilation, people have 2 different versions they get to watch. Basically, that's how we split
Right.
it
You
between
can
us.
watch through, go to Super, or you can watch through and go to GT. 2 different stories. Or two
because we're
different
trying to
things.
figure out how we would split the compilation video, and that's how we did it, basically.
Which I think is a cool way, a good way to interact, a good way to actually have two different stories and two, almost like you know, whatever you prefer. If you prefer Super, you can watch one. You prefer GT, you can watch one, or you can always watch both.
As far
Watch
as
both.
people curious if we'll cover movies or not, that'll probably be like a next year thing. We're not going to do that this year
Yeah,
for all the Z
movies.
movies and
Movies
whatnot.
would be really weird. Like really, because Raditz would be in all of them.
Yeah,
Like
he would be, and the other thing is that Chi-Chi did play a role in a
yeah,
couple of the movies compared to
Like in
the
Lord
main
Slug.
story.
Like I mean, because if Raditz fights Lord Slug's people, he's probably gonna kill them. So be a completely different movie, really.
Yeah,
Like a
especially at the
completely
time
different.
where Rads is at for sure.
Right, because I mean, at least you at least at the Saiyan Saga, he'd be at 1500. So you'd argue by then, probably at least be about 5,000. Even that's minimum training. With everybody around him. So
And also, Garlic Jr. is gonna be very weird because you
oh
have Raditz here around the same time period when that's supposed to occur, kinda.
right. And then let's not to mention just the more interactions that Mr. Popo and Raditz would have.
Yeah.
They
I
would have a
think
lot
during
more
then we'll
interactions.
probably cover the Z filler arcs as well, because it makes sense, because Garlic Jr. has a filler arc that we can cover in the Garlic Jr. one. And I think PyCon's kind of cool, and he could be covered towards when he gets to Wrath of the Dragon, where he would have played a role, basically.
Right. There's a lot of different ways that we can actually bring it into play. What if Chi-Chi died, birthing Gohan has a lot of life still in it?
So for people worried it's ending, it's not. It's just that we're reaching a point where we're about to hit the split off point, meaning that uploads will be a lot more consistent between both of us, because after this point, each of us is doing a different timeline, so we don't have to rely on the other person anymore by that point.
Exactly.
The only thing we would have to rely on is actually writing it, which isn't as bad as our current setup, basically.
Yeah, writing together doesn't take very long.
Speaking of what we're doing after that, we have a different collab plan that's Dragon Ball, but I think after that, we might do an Invincible collab instead, or something else different, because I think we've already done. We outdrained Dragon Ball, I think, for collabs for this year. Because I think two is pretty good for me, in my opinion.
I guess you can make a poll. You can either do Invincible or the DCAU. DCAU.
We could continue the Batman Beyond What if that gets enough.
Right, and it all just depends on how things go.
But I will say that, considering how I do collabs, I don't want to do too many of one thing, so I think that's where we're taking things. It's not the fact we don't like it, it's more the fact that collabs take a long time, as you can tell.
Oh, and then like how you said, I know you do a lot of other collabs, especially with Dragon Ball YouTubers. So it's definitely good to branch out and be able to do something different.
Well, yeah, my thing when I do collabs, I like to introduce people to doing the content we do. Because there's people who don't do what if content, and they just happen to be brought on to what I'm doing.
Right. And I feel like in a way, it's kind of doing what you do could kind of spark people to actually do more what ifs and stuff like that.
Well, my thing is I want to encourage people, like anybody can do it. The main thing is you have to be willing to research what you're putting into. And even if you do mess up, be upfront about it and try not to ignore it, basically.
All you can do is mess up and do it again. Because if you mess up and you don't try it again, then all you're going to do is be remembered as that mess up. So try again, get it. Try again, get a good video, and then you'll be remembered for that good video, not that mess up. You'll be, oh well, he did this one time, but he recovered. He came back. He was fired. He was amazing. That's what you want. And when that does happen, it feels better than anything. To having one bad comment on a video to the next video not having a single one, you feel so much better. it's a good moral booster. Yeah, you're gonna
For
have
sure.
negative comments. Yeah, you're gonna have dislikes. You're gonna have things that you don't like, but that's the real world, and that's what you just gotta face. However, it's the positive comments, it's the good fans, it's the good people in the audience that make you feel, this is worth it. Not the money, the audience. They make you feel like it's worth it, and that's the fun in it.
But yeah, I will say that's our main plans for the most part. I will say that pilot thing will very depend on how well that does if we continue or not.
Right. Which hopefully it does do well.
My thing is that if it doesn't do well, most at worst it might just be a once a year type of thing. Might be like a special event. Or we might do like podcast styles like this where it's not edited but it has like a thumbnail and we just talk about it.
Right, just read the script off.
That's most likely what will be at worst because we have another part technically written.
Yeah, we have the episode right now. So me and Drew just have to do our worst impressions that we can do and read it.
But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the interview here. Sorry, a lot of it kind of turned to a podcast thing. The thing is that I know DragonStar a lot better than other people I've interviewed, so I thought we might as well just talk about some other things and make it a bit more casual.
In a way, me and Drew are more friends than other people that he's interviewed. These questions that he would be asking, we've already asked and other things.
I literally just made up the questions. I don't even have a script for this. It was like,
okay,
sure.
okay,
Who do I ask people stuff?
Wait, okay. Look, if you want me to knock out some basic questions, what's
All
your?
right, we can knock out some basic questions. So,
Okay, go ahead.
what do you use to edit your thumbnails?
There's this app and it's called Thumbnail Maker. Next.
All right. So, when you record your audio, when you did it for your phone, how did you do it?
Okay, so there's this audio recorder on my phone. I go through that and I use one of my microphones. It depends on which one I have. Right now, it's a basic mic that I got from Walmart. And I just plug it into it. I make sure that I have all my surroundings turned off and all that, so there's no excess background sound. And now I have a foam room. I didn't before. But with that case, I can able to block out more sound when I actually do record my actual videos. However, back in the day, I wasn't able to do that, so I do whatever the best I could to get my video audios done. And that's basically it. As simple as what basically everybody else does. Plug it in and record. Next.
Question for myself. How was it setting up the foam room? Hey, it's post-production Drew back at it again with another missing section of the podcast here. Luckily, it's the last one. It happened way towards the end here. Basically, I asked DragonStar about the setup for his phone room, and basically, he summarized it to that he bought a bunch of really cheap panels on Wish.com. They have a lot of cheap items time to time. Honestly, I personally think they're a bit sketch, but that's just my personal opinion of their site. I've used it a couple times in the past myself, and honestly, the quality of items have not been the greatest for me. Anyways, as far as where else that conversation went, it really didn't go much elsewhere. But yeah, we're basically going to pick up to the point where I'm just rambling about me trying to get my own room set up, and honestly, to add a bit of a tangent here, the price of different things to make it happen honestly have gotten way more expensive, honestly, so who knows if that project will still happen this year. It probably won't happen until next year at the soonest. Honestly, stuff gets expensive, I hope y'all understand that little tidbit. Anyways, let's get back to the podcast.
How is
Obsessive. I'm doing an entire room setup because I kind of want to have like an office space so I can get better in the mindset when making content.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. I have my entire room set up, but I have like the closet designated for like audio.
No, I get you. My thing's basically like a whole tear down. That's why it's so.
Which I get you. That's dope. I would do it. I would do it in my room, but it in like the room, like in my recording room and whatnot. But it's literally like twice the size of like my living room, so that would be a lot of fun.
Well, I know a big issue with content creators is that they don't necessarily own where they live, and I kind of live in a place where I'm allowed to do it as long as you get permits and whatnot.
Right.
So you have to
So you
have
can't-
signatures, you have to fund it yourself because you're the one doing it. And I think I'll get a return out of it for sure by making it nice and doing actual proper insulation with the walls, like putting the. It's not styrofoam. I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's some sort of insulator.
Well, I mean, at the end of
sheetrock.
There
Sheetrock,
you
I
go.
think is what it's called. Yeah, that's they usually put it like in basements or more underground areas. If you see like iDubbbz videos, you see all this pink foam. That's kind of what it is.
I've
To describe it.
had to put up my fair share of sheetrock walls. So
Yeah, you know those things are pretty durable. They have very good sound insulation with them,
right.
but it's expensive though to do it yourself.
I've also got put through some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Back in the backyard wrestling days, I got put through a thing of sheetrock.
Anyways, we're gonna end things off here. Me and DragonStar are gonna talk about other collab fun stuff off screen. So if y'all enjoyed this, be sure to leave a like, comment below who you want on next. I'll probably get Anime Sage on next because he's been wanting to come on, though he's also been very busy as well because he wants to grind for summer. So I thought I'd give him a break and we'd probably do it some other time. Get DragonStar on. I don't know. We'll see who else I want to get on. I can't think of who else at the moment, but I do know a few people. I know some of you asked for Smugstick and Solid saying I'm going to see what I can do with them, but they're also
Hey,
going to be
dude.
busy.
I definitely recommend Damon What Ifs. I do think he's
I
somebody
think I
that
might
was
get him
interested
on.
in doing it,
Yeah, I might get him on. That's a good idea.
and he's growing really fast right now. Like he
Oh
just
wow,
hit 14K.
congrats.
So, like you said, he's been growing, so he's definitely somebody I think you should reach out to, and maybe like Codes, you know, artists get a completely different approach. I know I did a podcast thing with him a long time ago, but the audio crashed on me, so I wasn't able to use it. So I think, you know, doing an interview with him would be really cool because he does a lot of art for a lot of different YouTubers. Me, you, Anime Sage, Smugstick, you know, Light Joe Storm, literally just about any YouTuber. I feel like he just about does art for him. So
Hey, anyways, I'm gonna end things off here. So be sure to comment. Be sure to share this out on Twitter, Instagram. Also, you could share it too, and I'll see you in the next interview thing with our people. So see ya.